My friend, have you ever heard of Dokkōdō, also known as the way of walking alone? This is not just a collection of abstract ideas or theoretical wisdom. It is a set of profound life principles written by the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, guiding us toward a way of living that is both practical and deeply fulfilling. But before we step into these timeless teachings, let's take a journey back to 17th century Japan, an era marked by chaos, conflict, and endless wars. Miyamoto Musashi, a free-spirited Ronin samurai, fought in over 60 duels, defeating countless opponents. He was celebrated as a master of the sword, feared and admired across the land. And yet, within his victories, Musashi felt an emptiness. The path of violence brought him no true peace. In the final chapter of his life, Musashi retreated into solitude. He turned inward, seeking clarity and truth beyond the blade. Out of this deep reflection, he wrote Dokkōdō, not only as a guide for himself, but as a message for anyone searching for meaning in the midst of life's struggles. Dokkō contains 21 principles, each one a sharp, clear teaching on how to face oneself and the world with honesty, simplicity, and strength. Let us begin with the first principle. Accept everything just as it is. At first, this may sound simple, but its wisdom runs deep. Most of our suffering comes not from reality itself, but from our resistance to it. We often impose our expectations on the world, only to be met with disappointment. But when you begin to accept life as it is without trying to bend it to your will, you discover something extraordinary. Disappointment fades, restlessness loosens its grip. Suddenly, even in the most difficult situations, hidden opportunities reveal themselves. Acceptance does not mean weakness. It means opening your heart and mind, seeing the world without the filter of your personal desires or judgments. It means recognizing that peace comes not from control, but from letting go. And yes, this practice is not easy. To release attachment to outcomes requires patience, humility, and practice. But if you persist, you will uncover a deep inner calm, a sense of freedom that no circumstance can take away. Now, let us turn to the second principle. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. We live in a world that constantly tempts us with pleasures, good food, entertainment, relationships, comfort. These are not wrong in themselves. They are part of being human. But when pleasure becomes the center of life, it leads us astray. Musashi warns us, chasing pleasure blindly can trap us in a cycle of craving and dependency. The more we grasp at it, the more dissatisfied we become. True happiness does not come from fleeting indulgence. It arises from inner contentment, from living in alignment with values deeper than desire. Pleasure fades, but peace endures. So, Musashi teaches us, enjoy life's simple gifts, yes, but do not let them rule you. For real strength is the ability to walk alone, free from the chains of endless craving. Now, let us continue with the journey through Dokkōdō. Inside each of us, the temptations of instant gratification are always present. They whisper to us, urging us to chase after short-lived pleasures. This makes it incredibly challenging to maintain clarity and discipline. But Musashi reminds us, by strengthening our willpower and focusing on lasting values, we can rise above these temptations. True joy can be found in simplicity, and from this simplicity, we cultivate a deep and enduring sense of contentment. And so, we arrive at the third principle. Do not rely on fleeting emotions. Emotions, no matter how powerful, are temporary. They rise, they fall, they vanish. This principle emphasizes the importance of not letting short-term emotions control your decisions or actions. When we allow emotions to take the lead, we risk rushing into choices without clarity, without full understanding, and often, those hasty decisions bring regret. Musashi does not ask us to suppress or deny emotions. Rather, he teaches us to observe them, to accept them as part of life while remembering that they are not the master of our minds. By keeping balance within, we can face any situation calmly, without being pulled into the highs and lows of emotional turbulence. This practice not only sharpens our judgment, it also brings long-term stability, allowing us to walk through life with equanimity and strength. Now, the fourth principle. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. This is a call to humility. It asks us to loosen the grip of ego and reduce the weight of self-importance. Too often, we are consumed by our own stories, our own needs, our own identities. But when we shift our gaze outward to the beauty, the diversity, and the vast complexity of the world, we begin to feel something greater. Thinking lightly of yourself frees you from the burden of pride and obsession with the ego. Thinking deeply of the world connects you to others, to nature, and to the larger forces that move the universe. This principle is not about devaluing yourself or ignoring your needs. It is about balance, respecting who you are, while expanding your heart to embrace what lies beyond you. In this openness, you find inspiration, gratitude, and harmony with life itself. And now, the fifth principle. Be detached from desire throughout your life. Desire is endless. The more we chase after wealth, power, possessions, or recognition, the more restless we become. These cravings never truly end, they only multiply, pulling us further away from peace. Musashi teaches that freedom comes through letting go. By releasing attachment to material things, to status, or to unending ambition, we lighten our spirit. In this detachment, we discover inner peace, and we can focus on what truly matters: values that endure, virtues that sustain us, and the quiet strength of a heart unshaken. My friend, let us continue with Musashi's timeless wisdom. We spoke about letting go of desire not as a way of abandoning love, passion, or self-growth, but as a way of transforming how we approach them. To let go does not mean to give up your dreams. It means acting without being enslaved by obsession or crushed by pressure. When you realize that every longing is temporary, you begin to move through life with lightness. You step out of the endless cycle of craving. The weight of desire fades, and in its place arises freedom, joy, that is no longer tied to possession or achievement, but rooted in deep contentment with the present moment. This is the path toward a life of true freedom and fulfillment. And now, we reach the sixth principle. Do not regret what you have done. The past cannot be changed. No matter how much we dwell on mistakes, regret only chains us down. Instead of letting negative emotions bind you, turn your attention to what can be learned from those experiences. Every action, whether wise or foolish, has shaped who you are today. Regret traps you in self-blame and holds you back from moving forward. But when you accept the past without judgment, you release yourself from its emotional weight. You create space to live fully in the present and prepare to embrace new opportunities. This does not mean abandoning responsibility or ignoring lessons from your mistakes. On the contrary, it means looking back with clarity, drawing wisdom, and then stepping forward with confidence and strength. The seventh principle is this: never be jealous. Jealousy is destructive. It distorts how you see yourself, how you see others, and it poisons relationships that matter. When jealousy takes hold, it breeds bitterness, resentment, and separation. Musashi's teaching is simple yet profound. Let go of comparison. Each person walks a unique path, with their own struggles and their own triumphs. Instead of resenting differences, learn to see them as part of life's natural order. When you free yourself from envy, generosity and openness take root. You connect with others more sincerely, without the shadow of competition. By refusing to let jealousy dominate, you preserve your dignity, and your energy is directed toward what truly matters: your own growth, your own meaningful goals. This is how you nurture both peace of mind and a heart that remains wide open. Now, the eighth principle. Do not be saddened by separation. Separation is an unavoidable part of life. We lose people, we leave places, circumstances change. Yet when we cling too tightly, we suffer endlessly from what is impermanent. Musashi teaches us to see separation for what it truly is: a natural rhythm of existence. Sadness will come. Yes, it is human. But if we allow it to dominate, grief can spiral into lasting suffering. Letting go here does not mean denying emotions. It means embracing them with calm awareness, remembering that every feeling, like every moment, is temporary. By honoring your grief without drowning in it, you respect your emotions while staying balanced. In this way, you can face loss with strength. You do not ignore the pain, but you walk through it with honesty and compassion until peace gently returns. The ninth principle tells us: do not harbor resentment or complain about yourself or others. Resentment and constant complaint are powerful poisons. They erode inner peace, damage relationships, and keep you locked inside negativity. When you dwell on anger or blame, you limit yourself. You close the door to growth, to strength, and to new possibilities. Instead of sinking into destructive emotions, shift your focus towards solutions. Seek practical actions and constructive ways forward. By letting go of bitterness, you create space for clarity, and your mind grows lighter, your heart more resilient. This does not mean ignoring injustice or abandoning healthy boundaries. On the contrary, calmness and decisiveness allow you to handle difficult situations far more effectively than anger ever could. Do not react from emotion. Act with clarity, with purpose, and with strength. When you rise above resentment and complaint, you not only preserve your inner peace, you also open the door to deeper connections and a more powerful way of living. Now, the 10th principle. Do not be led by desire or by love. Desire and passion, even love itself, can be overwhelming forces. They have the power to cloud reason, to pull us away from balance and self-control. Musashi reminds us, keep your clarity in relationships. Do not lose your independence by surrendering your freedom to fleeting emotions. When you depend too heavily on another person, you risk sacrificing your own strength. This principle does not ask you to reject love, nor to suppress passion. Instead, it teaches balance, an ability to observe emotions with calm awareness, to recognize their impermanence, and to remain steady within yourself. By maintaining independence in thought and action, you preserve balance, and from that balance, you can love more deeply, connect more healthily, without being consumed or lost in the fire of emotion. And then, the 11th principle. Do not be partial to any one thing. Preferences, when clung to too tightly, create barriers. They reflect personal bias and limit the way we see the world. Too much attachment to likes and dislikes builds walls around the mind. This principle asks us to keep flexibility of spirit to meet the world openly, without being trapped by rigid preferences. Yes, having likes is part of being human. But when they become chains, we miss out on experiences that could expand us, transform us, or show us life in new ways. A mind free of narrow preference is a mind that can move fluidly, that can see life more fully, that can embrace the vastness of existence. Our personal preferences often become the root of suffering when we place too much expectation upon them. Instead of letting these likes and dislikes control us, learning to release such attachments gives us the freedom to experience life more fully. Now, this does not mean you must abandon your values or beliefs. The heart of this teaching is to remain objective, to avoid rigid judgments about everything around you. Each person walks their own path and lives their own way. With openness, you begin to see that no choice is ever completely right or completely wrong. It is simply a way of living. When you stop being overly concerned with personal likes or dislikes, you will feel a deeper peace within yourself. You also strengthen your ability to adapt to whatever situations arise. This brings us to principle 12. Do not be attached to the place where you live. Yes, our living environment is important, but it does not determine the state of inner peace or true contentment. Happiness does not come from the material surroundings, it comes from your ability to adapt and nurture stability within. When you cling too tightly to a house, a city, or any environment, you may find yourself trapped by fear of change. But if you let go of this attachment, you open the door to freedom and flexibility in facing every circumstance. Now, this does not mean you should ignore the need for a safe, supportive home. Of course, a harmonious space is necessary. But it should never dominate your mood, your choices, or your sense of self. Instead of focusing so much on where you live, focus on building strength within, cultivating character, inner clarity, and resilience. When you do this, peace becomes your natural state, no matter what is happening around you. Life is constant change, and so too is the environment we live in. By accepting this impermanence, you free your energy to focus on what truly matters, your personal growth, your genuine relationships, and the core values that guide your life. Now we arrive at principle 13. Do not chase after the taste of delicious food. Food is essential for life, yes, but when it becomes an object of endless craving, it creates unnecessary attachment. This principle is about developing a healthy relationship with what you eat. The joy of taste is fleeting. It cannot provide lasting happiness. When you stop putting so much weight on flavors, food returns to its true purpose, to nourish your health and give you energy. This shift allows you to live more freely, not bound by temporary cravings or the pursuit of momentary pleasures. Of course, this does not mean rejecting the value of eating or depriving yourself of enjoyment. It simply means not becoming dependent on flavor as a source of happiness. In this way, food becomes a companion to your life journey, not a chain that holds you down. Joy in food is natural, but let us approach it with balance. See food not as an object of obsession, but as a tool, something that nourishes both body and spirit. When the mind is no longer consumed by flavor, you can enjoy the simplicity of eating without being driven by expectation or excessive desire. By maintaining mindfulness in your relationship with food, you not only find inner peace, but you also create a lifestyle of harmony, where food serves health rather than becoming a goal in itself. And now, we arrive at principle 14. Do not act merely according to common customs. Traditions and social norms often shape how we live, but if followed blindly, they can also become chains that blur our individuality. This principle reminds us of the importance of living true to ourselves, instead of letting rigid social patterns define how we experience life. Instead of being swept away by imposed expectations, seek freedom in thought and action. By releasing the need to conform to every custom, you free yourself from the pressure of fitting in without losing your authenticity. Now, this does not mean rejecting the value of community or denying the wisdom carried in tradition. It means choosing carefully, applying what aligns with your own nature and purpose. Living without being bound by the mold of society allows you to define happiness and success in your own way. And when you let go of judgment towards your choices or the choices of others, you begin to shape a life that reflects your true self. This principle is not only about personal freedom, it also encourages you to maintain a harmonious connection with your community without sacrificing your core values. In this way, you live a life of meaning, not because of outside standards, but because of deep understanding of who you truly are. Which brings us to Principle 15. Do not feel jealousy or envy. Jealousy and envy arise so easily when we compare ourselves to others, yet they are also the roots of insecurity and suffering. This principle calls us to release the need to measure our worth against the success of someone else. Remember, another person's success does not diminish your own value. Their happiness does not block your path to joy. When you stop comparing, life becomes lighter. You are able to enjoy each moment without the weight of competition. In letting go of envy, you open yourself to gratitude. Gratitude for who you are and for the path you are walking. This does not mean abandoning your goals or dreams. Rather, it means pursuing them with clarity, focusing on your own growth and purpose, not driven by competition or the feeling of lack. When envy dissolves, your heart finds freedom. What remains is strength, contentment, and the quiet joy of walking your own way. Jealousy does not bring you closer to others, it only creates distance. In contrast, generosity and the recognition of someone else's success can open the door to deeper, more positive connections. This leads us to Principle 16. Do not hold on to anger or resentment. Anger and resentment destroy inner peace. They also affect the way you engage with the world. If left unchecked, these emotions can trap you in a cycle of dissatisfaction and isolation. This principle is about transforming anger into clarity, using it not as a weapon, but as a signal. Resentment cannot change the past, but it can surely blur your future. Instead of letting negative emotions control you, learn to see them as messages, guiding you toward actions that better align with your values and goals. And now, Principle 17. Do not place yourself above others. The ego, when inflated, blinds us to understanding. It convinces us that we are superior, which only deepens division. This principle teaches humility and compassion in how we treat all people. Recognize that every being is equal and worthy of respect. Freeing yourself from the burden of ego does not mean losing self-respect or denying your value. Instead, it asks you to keep an open mind to see yourself as part of a greater whole where everyone is connected and influencing one another. When you release the need to stand higher than others, you create harmony in your relationships and peace within yourself. Humility does not erase individuality. It deepens your connection with the world, allowing you to live in balance and harmony with every interaction. Now, Principle 18. Do not cling to your position. Titles, roles, and social status are often seen as measures of personal worth, but they can also become sources of pressure and dissatisfaction. Your true value does not come from external labels. It comes from how you live, how you face challenges, and how you bring meaning to your life. When you let go of attachment to rank or reputation, you free yourself from the endless weight of maintaining appearances or chasing recognition. This does not mean abandoning your passions or goals. Instead, pursue them freely without being bound by the chains of status or the burden of image. Principle 19. Do not worry about living long. The fear of death often makes us cling desperately to life, but in doing so, we lose sight of the true meaning of each present moment. This principle calls us to accept the finiteness of life as something natural. Rather than letting the fear of time dominate your thoughts and actions, turn your energy toward living meaningfully. Of course, this does not mean neglecting your health or ignoring safety. Caring for yourself is important, but the focus is not on how long you live, it is on how deeply you live. Acceptance of death does not reduce the value of life. In fact, it heightens it. It sharpens your awareness, making every moment precious. By facing mortality with calmness, you free yourself from unnecessary fear, and you discover true freedom, the freedom to live fully, here and now. Life is not measured by its length, but by how deeply you feel and experience it. Now we arrive at Principle 20. Do not cling to possessions or material wealth. Material things can certainly bring comfort and safety, but when we place too much value on them, they easily turn into burdens. This principle reminds us not to let possessions define our worth or control our happiness. Wealth is a tool, it is not the ultimate purpose of life. The more tightly we cling to it, the more we fear losing it. And that fear often robs us of the ability to enjoy what truly matters: love, meaningful experiences, and genuine connection. By releasing attachment to material goods, you discover a lighter heart and a freer mind. This allows you to focus on values that endure: wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. Now, this does not mean abandoning everything or becoming careless with what you own. Rather, it means using possessions wisely, seeing them as means to support life, not as ends in themselves. When you are no longer bound by material attachments, you can taste the joy of simplicity and a peace of mind that remains steady, no matter the circumstances. And now, the final teaching, Principle 21. Do not stray from your path. This principle is about steadfastness, remaining loyal to the path you have chosen, no matter the temptations, pressures, or doubts that may arise. Life is filled with challenges that can shake your belief, and distractions that can lure you away. There will be times when you question yourself, when obstacles make you doubt your direction, or when easy promises from outside tempt you to abandon your way. But this principle calls for clarity, to see beyond the obstacles of the present, to hold steady against what does not belong to you. Staying true to your path does not mean stubbornness or refusal to grow. It is about discerning the difference between changes that help you progress and distractions that pull you away from your essence. Each step you take with loyalty strengthens your inner resolve, bringing clarity to your purpose. By walking your chosen path with faith, you will find meaning in every action, every decision, and ultimately, fulfillment in your life. Now, let us look back at the 3 core themes within all 21 principles. First, self-discipline. Musashi believed that discipline is the key to overcoming temptation and staying true in the storms of life. Without discipline, we are easily swept away by passing desires, leading to wrong choices. Only through training our will can we live aligned with our values and goals. Second, mindfulness. Living in the present, that is Musashi's reminder. With mindfulness, we learn to cherish the beauty of simple things, the breeze that brushes the skin, the clear song of a bird. More than that, mindfulness allows us to recognize our own emotions and thoughts, so we can respond with wisdom instead of reaction. Third, letting go. According to Musashi, suffering begins with attachment. Whether it is to possessions, to fame, or even to relationships, attachment binds the mind in unrest. In letting go, we not only discover freedom, but also a deeper peace that arises from within. My dear friend, you have just walked with me through the 21 principles of the Dokkōdō, the profound legacy left by Miyamoto Musashi to the world. These are not mere rules. They are guiding lights, helping us find strength in chaos and fullness in life. Each principle emphasizes the power of letting go, the clarity of mindfulness, and the steadiness of discipline. They are not harsh demands, but gentle reminders pointing us back to our essence, beyond the grasp of possessions, emotions, and rigid beliefs. Apply these principles not to become perfect, but to walk your own path, with awareness, with balance, and with gratitude. Musashi's philosophy is a timeless teaching, that true happiness does not come from what we own, but from how we live. Thank you for walking this journey with me, here at You. May your life be filled with energy, presence, and peace.